Hello, how are you?
Hi, nice to meet you.
You too. How are you doing in this wonderful time in the world?
Well, I'm fine. I'm healthy, and I mean, it's a weird time we're living in right now, but it could be worse for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hope you're staying safe.
Yeah, I hope you too.
So this is the third and final season of Dark. And how do you feel about the journey so far? From when you started to now? Now it's over.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, when I look at myself 3 or 4 years ago when we auditioned for everything and we started shooting, we really didn't know how big it was going to get, and we knew that it was something very special, especially for a German series, and it was the first German Netflix original, so we knew it was something new and exciting, but you couldn't predict this kind of international success we have.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a lovely journey we had, and now it's kind of coming to an end. And when it's released, it will be the end for us in a way. And
Yeah.
but we are very excited to see the reactions.
Well, I've seen it, and it's very exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've watched the last season. But like you said, when you first started, you couldn't really imagine how successful it would get. So what actually drew you to the show in the first place?
I mean, I read the first layouts of the show, and that was already like mind blowing. And I was like, okay, this is something else. And
Yeah.
the showrunners did some really good movies in Germany before,
Hmm.
so I knew that they're really good filmmakers. And also the aspect of it being Netflix and it being so new, just everything in me was like, okay, I have to be part of this project, and I am so grateful that it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think you mentioned in another interview that you originally auditioned for a different character than Marta,
Yeah,
but then you ended up being cast as Marta.
exactly. I auditioned for Franziska in the first 2 rounds, and then eventually they called me back for Marta, and that's when I got the, yeah.
Well, it turns out that you have Marta has a very, very important role in the show in general, and it's going to be much clearer in the third season without spoiling anything. But if you could choose any other character on the show to be, who would you have picked?
I mean, there are so many amazing characters in the show, but I mean, one of my all-time favorites is always Noah, because he's so mysterious and he has so many different layers in his character. Especially like in the second and the third season, you really get to know like him from a different kind of angle.
Hmm.
So he's really complex, and I love that. Um, yeah, I think I would go for Noah.
Well, what inspired you to start a career in acting at all?
Well, I started quite young. I started when I was around 10 years old, and I really don't know where it came from. I just had this big urge of being part of movies, and I loved movies in general. And I watched like these children movies, and I was like, okay, I have to do that, what they are doing. And then I just kind of begged my mom to like give me some kind of, or put me in some kind of acting class for children, and she did, and that's how it kind of went. But yeah, I don't know where it came from. It's
Yeah.
just there.
Well, luckily you managed to actually get into it.
Yeah,
But is there a particular kind of role or genre that you prefer, or that you'd like to act, or you prefer acting?
I wouldn't say I prefer it, but I always was very drawn to very dark um yeah, projects. So I always like doing drama and thrillers. And but I recently did a comedy film for Netflix as well, and I really enjoyed that one as well. So um I don't know, I wouldn't like to do just one part of it, because it's the fun of the whole thing, just being able to do different kind of
Yeah.
movies and series.
Are you interested in doing other kinds of acting, like voice acting, or maybe in video games?
I mean, if something interesting comes along, why not?
Sure. What you've started out at a young age, but you've still really got the rest of your career ahead of you. But what's one thing about about acting that you thought was true, but now that you're actually in the industry, you realized it isn't at all?
Interesting. Yeah. I think because I started so young, for me it was always the characters, and I always wanted to be in the world that was portrayed in the films. And when I came on set, obviously there's a whole team and stuff, but that's actually what I love the most, on being able to be an actress, is being on set and having these big cameras and big lights and this whole crew, and everybody's doing like their part of, their part they can participate in, and then it all comes together like a big puzzle, and then you have this amazing show or amazing film. So yeah, but I think I never got into it because of the fame or anything. So it kind of is how I imagine it, maybe. Yeah.
And so it turned out to be pretty much
Yeah.
exactly what
Yeah.
you thought it would be. Well, the show Dark does involve a lot of time travel. So my next question is if you could travel in time, but it's going to be a one-way trip.
Oh,
Yeah, it's going to be a one-way trip, and that's it. You can't come back. But if you could choose any time, when would you travel?
I really hate the thought going somewhere and not being able to come back.
So it has to be somewhere you would really like. That's the,
Yeah, so I would probably go somewhere like the 90s, because it feels like it's one of the most peaceful times in Europe.
yeah,
So I love the 50s or 60s just because of how everybody looked and the whole
culturally.
spirit, but I wouldn't want to be there in that time as a woman, especially.
Yeah.
So I think I would go for 90s.
Okay. So, did you like? Is there any similarities between your character and yourself? Did you bring a lot of Lisa into Marta, or vice versa? Did Marta kind of rub off on Lisa at some point?
I mean, yeah, I kind of grew up with her. I mean, when we started the first season, I was 19 and now I'm 23. So, uh, I mean, there must be some part of Marta in myself, but I think you always, as an actor, you always give some parts of yourself into the role, and some parts are completely different than you. And that's how it kind of gets in the mix. So, there are probably some aspects of her that really are from me, and I try to always put something of me in my role, so it's an honest performance.
Mhm.
But I wouldn't say that I'm like Marta in a lot of ways.
So what's next for you? What's next for Lisa?
Well, I mean, everything is kind of difficult because of this whole Corona situation, so I can't really give anything away.
All right.
So
Just
you'll
trying to
have
get
to
something out
wait
of
and
you.
see.
Well, we're almost out of time, so this is one last question I'm going to ask you. What advice would you give other young aspiring actors?
Um, First of all, try to really figure out if you enjoy acting as a craft, or if you want to be famous, or I don't know, something like that. And then just try to act as much as you can, and just collect as many experiences as you can, and stay true to yourself.
Mhm.
Don't try to copy anybody else.
Yeah. Find your own voice, and practice makes perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think we're out of time. I think we have like a few seconds left, so I don't want to have you cut off an answer. But thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us here at NileFM. We love the show, and I love the show. I've seen the third season, so I've really enjoyed it, and I hope everybody else does as well.
Yeah, I hope so too. Thank you for your time.
NileFM.